Yo, we're back. Welcome back to the Four Wide Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Matt, Shed, Olu, and Will. We are here, Season 2, Episode 3, recording 27. It is the week of the NFL Draft. One of the most exciting... Shed, turn the music off. One of the most exciting weeks in the NFL, especially if you're a fan of a failing organization like myself. This is the greatest week in the NFL because no matter what, your favorite team is supposed to get better. But here we are, guys. 1 minute of shine. Let's welcome our listeners. How about Shed? How about you go first, man?
Yeah, so, this is the time of the year where it's kind of been happening for a while, but there's a lot of smoke screens and deception and lies that are going up. So I've been following different mock drafts, and personally, I don't think there's no way that 4 quarterbacks go in the top 5, right?
Yeah.
Everything you hear out there, I feel like it's smoke screen. I don't think there's ever been a draft where quarterbacks have gone that high. Like when you're talking about the 3rd and 4th and 5th quarterback out there, their value becomes less. Like there are better players for teams to choose than to choose 4th quarterback out there. Like they could go within the first round. Somebody could come back in there, but I don't think they're going to go that high. I do see some of these guys dropping. Like this draft is top heavy with a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels, and you can throw a Drake May in there. But I believe like a J.J. McCarthy, a Bo Nix, and a Michael Penix, those guys could possibly slide out. They could go in the first round possibly, but I don't think they're going to go 4 in the top 5.
I mean, teams are saying that someone's going to trade up for McCarthy. We'll find out in just a few days. Olu, your 1 minute of shine, man.
So my 1 minute of shine is pretty much along the same line with Shed. Yeah, just for the draft. I'm excited to see where Marvin Harrison and Neighbors are going. 1 second, guys. We start backing up. Again, I'm excited to see where they land. Marvin Harrison and Neighbors. And the report out there is Arizona will trade the 4th place and move back. And I thought about it. I thought about different scenarios. And I thought, it's impossible. It's impossible for them to trade back. It's impossible. And here's why. Yep. You have a quarterback you've paid tons of money. You have no number 1 receiver. Your best receiver is my guy, Michael Wilson from Stanford, who's injury prone. That's your best receiver right now. And you're telling me you have the opportunity to take either of the 2 talented prospects in a while, just like Jefferson and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and you're going to trade back. If they do trade back, they deserve to continue to pick quarterbacks in the 1st overall for the next multiple years, like they already are doing. So I just don't see, it's like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange Avengers, where he looked at different scenarios of what happened. I've looked into a million scenarios, and I just don't see them moving back. I feel like at number 4, we will have Marvin Harrison, a Neighbors going to Arizona Cardinals. And I'm excited to.
It's got to be, right? That because of the team need and the draft.
You know who
position,
this is reminiscent
they need
of?
to take
This
a
is
generational
reminiscent
receiver.
of.
That only makes sense.
I believe it was like 2011 or 2012 when the Bengals had the 4th overall pick, and everybody knew they were going to get AJ Green. Like everybody knew at 4. That was also the same year that Julio Jones was drafted. That like the Falcons gave up the farm. They gave up everything to get Julio Jones. And that trade paid off. But like everybody and their mother knew the Bengals were going to go receiver at 4. They did. They got AJ Green and it paid off. But anyway, it was 2011 because it was the new year of the CBA. That's right. It was the new year of the CBA. That was the Cam Newton, Christian Ponder, Blaine Gabbert. It was that year. That's when everyone was reaching for quarterbacks because now there was a rookie wage scale. So, yeah. Anyways, Will, go for it, man.
Sure. Yeah, mine's quick. I'm going to keep it focused on the draft. So history tells us over and over again every year that one of these top 3 quarterbacks taken, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, is going to be a terrible bust. At least one, if not two of them, will be a
Yeah.
terrible bust. And so there will be all the hype on Thursday because they are more than likely going to hear their names 1, 2, 3. But one of them is going to be terrible in the NFL, and it's scary to predict that. It's impossible to predict. General managers who get a great salary and do this full time, they miss all the time. But history has taught us at least one, and more than likely two of
And
these
we are
guys
going to
are
talk
gonna be a
about all
bust.
3 of these guys on the episode, and I'm sure our thoughts and our predictions will come out.
So I'll say, Will, the only 2 years is with the Lamar draft, as he was taken later on in the draft. He was a third quarterback, I believe.
But
And
remember 3 of the first 4 taken?
And,
Rosen,
and Josh
Darnold, and
Allen
Baker
was that year.
compared to draft position.
And Josh Allen.
Yeah, Allen and Lamar obviously hit, but Rosen and Darnold
not
terrible
worthy of the
busts,
number 1
and
overall pick.
Baker's been decent, but not like a number 1 overall pick.
Rosen is my favorite bust. He said, if Tom Brady has 6 rings, I'm going to get 7. Oh, I love that.
I remember I
Gosh.
wanted the
my favorite
Giants to
quote
get
ever.
Rosen. Gosh, I'm so glad they didn't take him.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, we were gifted with
yeah, and
Saquon
you were
Barkley at
gifted
number
with
2.
Daniel Jones
Like,
instead. Oh, that's what that year was.
My
I'm
1
gonna
minute of
keep
shine
us
is very
focused on the
simple.
topic, so,
Follow me on Instagram at Showtime Barbecue. I am building an empire,
nice,
guys.
nice. Yeah.
At Showtime
Best
underscore
barbecue is
barbecue.
Connecticut.
I am building an empire to cater to all of your barbecue needs, blessed and highly flavored. It's always Showtime. Actually, guys, we got merch. We got merch now. We got
I
T-shirts.
like that.
Nice.
We got T-shirts now, and they literally say "blessed and
Finger
highly
licking.
flavored."
All right.
That's right, baby. All right. Well, anyways, we got an exciting episode, a simple episode. But if you are like us, and you have maybe been suffering from draft fatigue, then you will enjoy our discussion. We are going to talk about some pre-draft rookie predictions. Again, we are 2 days away from the NFL draft. So we're going to talk about some pre-draft rookie predictions. We have 9 discussion points we're going to share with you guys. And then if we have the time, we are going to get into our pre-draft rookie mock draft. So this will be our last rookie mock draft before the actual NFL draft. So this will be the last one before we have actual landing spots, guys. So why don't we kick it off, guys? Number 1, let's open our discussion. We have 4 discussions, 4 talking points about quarterbacks. Obviously, the most important position in all of sports, I would say. Let's talk about Caleb Williams, okay? The odds are so high that he is going to be the 101. He is going to be the pick to the Bears. I mean, I don't know how it cannot be done. They already shipped away Justin Fields. They let the world know we are going all in here. They brought in a reliable slot receiver in Keenan Allen. And so let's talk about Caleb Williams really quickly, the quarterback out of USC, Heisman Trophy winner 2 years ago. What are you guys' thoughts on Caleb Williams? I would like to know, is he, assuming he's the 101, which is safe to assume at this point, Vegas odds, it's out the, it's crazy. Is he the best 101 we've ever seen? Or how long has it been since we've seen a first overall pick since Caleb Williams? Let's start there. Who would like to go first, guys? Go for it, Shed.
Okay, so is he? I think he's going to. He's the best quarterback going to the best situation. Like there has never been a quarterback gone to a situation, and he will make this team in his rookie year a playoff French team. They're going to be in that 7th and 6th spot because every year you have 3 teams turnover in each conference, right? You're going to see one of the teams turn over, and it's going to be the Bears. But here's the thing: this defense last year was first in rush defense, allowing only 86 yards last year, and they were tied with San Francisco with 2nd in interceptions by their defense overall. And then finally, like you had DJ Moore that had career stats. You also had Cole Kmet that had career stats, and Montez Sweat. It was interesting, right? He was the first player in NFL history to lead 2 teams in sacks, Washington and then he came here and he led Chicago instead. So
Right.
this defense is set up. He is put in a great situation where he can succeed. I see him throwing for over
No,
4,000
no, that
yards
that is
and really having
that
an
is
impact.
very true. I mean, of all the
Okay.
guys who have gone number one overall, this is probably the best situation anybody has ever walked into. And let's not forget, not only do they return DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, they also brought in Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift. So they are investing in their skill players. And
Right.
now they're going to bring in a very talented 101. Will, what were you going to say, man?
Well, I was going to say that I agree with Shed because the Bears were not the worst team in football last year, right? They're the rare team with the number one overall pick that was not the worst team. They were 7-10 with Justin Fields, and they added all the players Matt just mentioned. With Caleb Williams, he has all the skills that he needs to have a great NFL career. He's not going to be a guy who puts up a lot of rushing yards from a fantasy perspective, but he'll scramble. I think he could have 250, 300 rushing yards, a couple of touchdowns if there's a goal line situation and he needs to take it in. I just don't know if the Bears have the offensive coaching personnel to get the best out of him, right? Guys who we've seen kind of rise to instant success, almost like Patrick Mahomes, his first year as a starter, had that genius offensive mind. I don't
Yeah.
know if the Bears have that type of coach to
Mhm.
bring out the best in Caleb, but he's got
see,
all the
I
physical
think his rushing
skills you would
upside,
need.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy's a talented passer. I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. But let's not snooze on the man's rushing upside. I mean, his first year at Oklahoma, he rushed for 442 yards. His first year at USC, he rushed for 382 yards. That was the year he won the Heisman. And this past year, he just rushed for 142. But let's not forget that in college football, sacks count for negative passing yards. So if a quarterback is sacked, that's essentially like -7 yards on their rushing. So with that said, I think to have 400 yards, 2 seasons, he had 442 yards and 382 yards, and then 142 yards. That's decent rushing upside. That's not bad. That's not bad. Not to mention with that rushing upside, he had 11 touchdowns rushing on the ground last year and 10 the year before that. That's amazing. Ola, what do you think, man?
Okay, what I think is, I mean, it's great for him. I feel like he worked hard to be where the position he is. And the position he is in is to be the number one first overall pick. He was a good college quarterback. He wasn't a great college quarterback. Let's not be mistaken. He was a good college quarterback, okay? Tebow was a great college quarterback.
Hmm.
What's his
Man.
name? Cam Newton was a great college running quarterback. But I feel like Caleb has done enough to put himself in the best position to be the first overall pick. Does that mean it's going to translate to the NFL league? I don't necessarily think so. You know, in this case, I would claim you just have to. He has to prove it. He has to show me. But from when I hear his interviews, because I try to take a man's heart, a man, what a man's mind is. The way he speaks, I realize he has no idea what he's walking into. Because he talks about, oh, when I mean, I like him. I want him to succeed. But at the same time, I'm like, bro, like you literally have not done anything in the NFL. He talks about, oh, all I do is win. Like all I do is win. I want Super Bowls. I want to chase rings like Rodgers, like Brady. And I'm like, bro, slow down. Like, why don't you get to the league? Number one, the speed of the league, they say, is faster. They're gonna beat you. You're gonna get beat up. You're gonna take your lumps. And okay, he's compared to Mahomes. He's never gonna be Mahomes. Here's why. Like Will said, he does not have what's it called? The one of the
He
greatest
doesn't have Andy Reid.
yeah, one of the greatest offensive mind in NFL history. So let's take that out of the equation. Number one, you're not going to be Mahomes. Number two, we don't know who your coordinator is. We know who he is. We know he's Shane Waldron, but he hasn't really seen a lot of like crazy success in NFL either, or as an offensive genius. We've not seen that. He was the OC for Seattle in 2023 and 2000 from 2021 to 2023. They were okay. They weren't a passing juggernaut. So what I'm saying is, let's tailor expectations of Caleb. He's not gonna come in and be this guy phenom. He's not. he's gonna be a rookie making rookie mistakes, and he's gonna have to grow like everybody else. And if he's lucky, right, he's gonna be an average starter if he's lucky. Okay, so there's a lot of room to fill. So I'm saying let's tailor expectation on this young man. Let's not give him the key to the city yet. Let's see what he does. Is there's a lot of room to fail and there's a lot of room to succeed. Which part of the crossroad is he gonna go? That's yet to see. So that's all I'm saying.
Olu, I am against what you're saying. I'm on the opposite side. I am buying everything for Caleb Williams. Like I love
What
what
have you
he's
seen to make you think that is what I'm
so I love his mentality coming in, talking about you talked about he was trying to get chase rings, right? I love how he's coming in and he has that, okay, I want to be great. It takes that mindset for you in order to really come in there. Now, yes, he's gonna take his lumps and he's gonna have his hard times, but the fact he's coming in like that, I think it's going to change his mindset. And I also heard a story about him at Oklahoma where he came in as a freshman and Spencer Rattler was the starting quarterback, and Spencer Rattler was a first round prospect. He was so upset that he didn't win the starting job and he wanted to be the starter. But like who was it? It was he was being interviewed and the person was saying that you do realize Rattler is a first round quarterback, but he just couldn't get it through his head that he wasn't a starter. But I love that mentality because it's showing that he wants to be great.
Yep.
And if you want to be great, you're going to put the hard work and do that.
Josh Rosen during his interview process wanted to win 7 Super Bowls more than Brady. So
No. We're not going to let you compare Caleb Williams to Josh Rosen.
I really like Caleb Williams. I'm buying him. I think he is in the best situation any number one overall pick has ever come into. As far as I think he's probably the best 101 since Andrew Luck. If not Andrew Luck, then it's got to be Peyton Manning. Honestly, his talent. I think his floor. Oh, that's true. That's true. My bad.
Peyton was the 102, but yes.
Okay, as a prospect, right? All right, as a prospect, Trevor Lawrence was higher as a prospect than he was. We're just thinking of Trevor Lawrence now. If him and Trevor Lawrence were coming out the same draft, everyone is taking Trevor Lawrence.
Caleb Williams, what he does,
I disagree with
he's
that.
better, man. He's better. Actually, Peyton Manning was the 101. Actually, Will Ryan Leaf was the 102.
Oh, these guys also realize. Oh, to say this before we go.
You're right.
There's a huge.
I'm just going to say this. That wouldn't be surprising because Green Bay's good, but I think his floor. Get this, and we're going to move on. We're not going to talk about this. I think his floor is Aaron Rodgers. That's his floor. His floor, because he doesn't turn over the ball. Let's keep moving. Okay, all right, number 2. Let's keep moving. No, Olu, we got to move.
Wait. We cannot just move.
No, we got to roll. We're going on. We're moving on.
And said, let's keep moving. You said, okay, let me just repeat what you said to you.
Number 2, you heard me.
May and Jane Daniels, take us to it, Matt.
Check the tape. All right, let's move on.
It's Aaron Rodgers. That's what you said.
Jaden Daniels or Drake May. I think it's pretty much a given that these two guys are going to go number 2 and number 3. Who goes where? I don't think that Washington, they've been reported to, they're on record, they are not moving out of their spot. Now, here lies the question.
Neither should they.
Will New England take a quarterback at 3, or will they trade back to somebody else who wants a quarterback? But I'm open to you guys. Who do you guys like better? Jaden Daniels or Drake May? Who's the better fit for Washington or New England, assuming neither of them trades out of that spot? I'd love to open it up. Olu, go first, man.
I think Jaden Daniels is the best second quarterback. Easy. Not even, it's not a question. I actually at first thought, I didn't like Jaden Daniels. And I actually watched this tape. Dude, number 1, he's a dog. Like, let's not even, at the end of the day, he's a dog. You do not want to take that from him. Number 2, he can pass the ball. He was a better prospect passing than Lamar was at this stage. So that's number 1. I mean, again, probably that's not saying much. Or let's even think. He's a great passer. I mean, not great. He's a really, really good passer. He's accurate. He He can get the ball downfield as much as he guess he doesn't have a cannon for arm. At the end of the day, he can get the ball downfield and is a good passer. And then his rushing upside is out. Is equal for me is on the
Ooh.
same level as Jalen Hurts. So he's on the same level as his rushing upside.
I think he's a
Without
better
a doubt.
rusher than Jalen
Without a
Hurts.
shadow of a doubt. Same level. Okay, maybe even better, but I'm saying his floor rushing is Jalen Hurts. I don't want to put him on the same par as Lamar. That's disrespectful. I would say his rushing is Jalen Hurts' floor. Is he going to reach Lamar? I don't think so. That's impossible. That's a high bar. But his passing was more than is. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, his passing is almost equivalent. Almost. I'm not saying
No.
there. Joe Burrow, uh, I'm not
He's
saying
not. You just saw him in an LSU jersey. That's what you saw.
Burrow threw for like
His
60
passing is
touchdowns.
almost is what I said. I did say right. I said almost, guys. I didn't say he's Joe Burrow. I'm trying to.
I
I'm
got
trying
a
to look
good
for a
comp
good
for him,
comp. I
but
cannot find one.
before we
I
get
have
to Will,
one.
What
I have a really good one.
what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say, he's a good enough passer to make it in the league. And then when I watch Drake May play, he strikes. He's basic, if that makes sense. There's nothing what's it called? He's a big guy, prototypical, 6'4" guy, big arm, whatever. But there's nothing that was spectacular to me. He's vanilla, he's basic. Maybe that would translate, perhaps. It could. But from what I saw, he didn't have the dog. For me, the first thing I look at is, do you have that dog in you? Like, I'm put this game, it doesn't have to be just rushing. It could be even like killer instinct. I didn't see that in him.
yeah,
So
I think
he
we'll
might
get
be
to
able
Will in a
to
second. I
bring
think
it out. I
Jaden
don't know,
Daniels is
but I think
probably more when you reference Lamar, you reference Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jaden Daniels isn't built like Jalen Hurts. He's very lean and he takes some bad hits. He's probably more
Right.
because of his speed like Lamar than he is Jalen Hurts. But why don't we go over to Will really quick?
Okay, here's my comp for Jaden Daniels, and I'm going to apologize in advance to all Washington Commanders fans who are going to listen to this, because no disrespect to the living, but the ghost of Robert Griffin III is going to haunt you after I say this. If Jaden Daniels is drafted at number 2 by the Washington Commanders, I predict a very similar career to RG3. They have one
No.
of the worst offensive lines in the league. Robert Griffin III came into the league with all the hype of his passing ability, his rushing ability, this two-way threat, incredibly accurate, could get the ball down the field, but similar problems. He had a lanky frame and played behind a terrible offensive line in Washington and got destroyed. His knee was injured and then re-injured his rookie year, and he never recovered. I think Jaden Daniels, unfortunately, could play out very similar to Robert Griffin III if he goes to Washington and gets destroyed behind an offensive line that gave up 65 sacks last year, second worst in the league.
So
I'm worried
really
about his health long
from a
term.
fantasy perspective, I love Jaden Daniels because of the rushing upside.
Oh, yes, he'll be
Now,
great for fantasy.
and I'm going to talk about
this year.
Drake May in a second. The thing that concerns me about Jaden Daniels, though, is he was not this before this season. Like, his Arizona State film
Right.
and numbers were not good. I was just watching an interview with him today, actually on
Right.
Kevin Hart's Cold as Balls. Love it. One of the best things in comedy. I like him I think he has great character. He's a man of faith. I love that. But he broke out this year as a fifth year starter, as a fifth year player. He broke out, which is cause of concern because then again, he also played with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. We'll talk about them later. Granted, he had a heck of a season, won the Heisman, but here Drake May, honestly, I think he's a safer pick. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing though, because I have flashbacks to 2017? No. Why in the world was
Mac
Mitchell
Jones?
Trubisky drafted number 2 overall? Made zero sense to me why
Right.
Mitch Trubisky was
Thank
taken
you.
over
Thank you.
Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Made no sense. You exactly went to
And you
UNC.
remember what college he
He
went
went
to.
to UNC,
North Carolina.
and
That's
that's why I'm
what
like,
scares me about
what
Drake.
what has he accomplished that Jaden Daniels hasn't accomplished? Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. Now that does not mean that you're going to be
Sure.
a great NFL quarterback because we all know Troy Smith won the Heisman. He was nothing in the NFL. However, yeah, yeah,
Jason White,
exactly.
Sam
But
Bradford.
Jaden Daniels, I'm like, how can anybody want Drake May over Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels has accomplished more. He's a better athlete. And here's the thing,
Sure.
he can make the mid-range throw. And I think that is one of the most underrated, but one of those valuable statistics when evaluating quarterbacks is, can they make the mid-range throw? That's what CJ Stroud can do better than almost anybody else. And look how he's done. He can make the mid-range throw. But that's what I have to say about these guys. I think Jaden Daniels should go number 2 to Washington. And honestly, Drake May just seems like a New England type of guy. He seems like a New England pick. All right. I'm not saying that because Mac Jones was a bust, but he just seems like that. He seems like he's cut from that cloth as far as what he provides. But anyway, he has some rushing upside. Much more than Mac Jones. But
Yeah.
anyways, let's keep it going really quick. Go, Chad. You want to say something before we move on?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Drake May. Just I get Mitch Trubisky negative vibes when I think about him. So I'm kind of hesitant. Based on that, you make a really good point about Jaden Daniels, man, about just breaking out. And yeah, he is older. One of the older, him and Bo Nix are kind of on the older side. But as far as where they should go 2 or 3, I think Jaden Daniels makes sense to go to Washington. I feel like he's a better fit there. You got Brian Robinson, Eckler, McLaurin. Then you have Jahan Dotson, and they also signed Bobby Wagner's with Dan Quinn coaching that defense as well too. So I feel like it's going to be a good situation, and Quinn will run a defense that allows Daniels that he won't have to fight from behind. So he won't have to be making those crazy plays, right? So I think he's a better fit there, using his legs to run to gain yards. The problem with RG3 is RG3 was trying to be like Peyton Manning when that wasn't his game. He was trying to do things he shouldn't have done. So as long as Jaden Daniels plays to his strength, we'll see. We'll
Let's
see what
keep it
happens. I
moving,
think he's a
guys.
better fit in
Okay, so the
Washington
next
than
guy,
Drake May.
hopefully we can make these next 2 talking points relatively quick, but JJ McCarthy is rising up draft boards. Ever since he has hoisted that national championship trophy, he has been going up people's draft boards, and now many experts believe he could possibly even be a top 5 pick. Now we know people love to trade up for quarterbacks, and there have been many of men who are overdrafted because they are a quarterback. JJ McCarthy has had success. He has not been asked to do a lot. However, he has proven he can win. JJ McCarthy, is the hype real? Do you think someone will trade up for him? What's the best fit? Let's talk about him briefly for a few minutes, guys. Yeah, Will, go for it.
Okay, to answer your question, yes, I think the hype is real. And
Oh,
yes, I think somebody will trade. Oh, I'm sorry. The hype about someone drafting him early is real. The hype
okay.
about his talent, no. Someone will trade up to draft him early. Definitely in the top 7, maybe in the top 5 if Minnesota tries to get up to that 5th spot. And the reason is simply that there's so many quarterback needy, quarterback desperate teams right now. But to me, JJ McCarthy is a combination of Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. And I mean that in all the negative ways. All the negative ways. Mac Jones, because he had great college success with a loaded team where he just had to put the ball in the right spots. And Zach Wilson, because after JJ McCarthy's pro day, he made that throw where he turned, he's running to the left sideline, and he launched the ball down the sideline. Zach Wilson made that exact throw at his BYU pro day, and everyone lost their minds, and he got drafted 2nd overall, and it was a terrible decision. So he's been getting this hype from film at his pro day, but I don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, even though he's going to be drafted probably in the top
And I
5
just want
if
to
Minnesota
warn
makes that jump forward.
those who play. Well, obviously, everyone here who listens plays dynasty football, but those who play, what is it like regular fantasy football redraft? Please, please, please don't drink the combine Kool-Aid. You're playing without pads. There's no defense. I mean, it tells you something, but it doesn't tell you everything. If we drank the combine Kool-Aid, DK Metcalf would be the best receiver in NFL history because he killed the combine. But don't drink the combine. Olu, you want to say something about JJ McCarthy right quick?
Right.
Absolutely. If JJ goes to the Vikings, make no mistake, he will be a problem. Like if he goes to the Vikings, if and only if he goes to the Viking. If he doesn't go to the Viking, yeah, sorry, you just drafted the bus. So here's the difference. I think JJ is a dog. Like he has that dog in him. He wants to win. He will win. He beat Ohio twice, right? So I feel like he has that dog in him. Like and then you put a team around him. Because sometimes you can be a skilled quarterback. If you don't have that dog in you, like you're not winning. But JJ seems like he has a gift of winning. And if you put him on a team like Minnesota, he will do well if Vikings go after him. He's not the I watched him play. I didn't like what I saw during the regular season, but what I saw in the championship games made me a little confused because he played really well in the championship games versus him playing in other games. So he's going to be a really huge mystery. Every other team should stay away except Vikings. Vikings should wait for him to fall. I wouldn't
If you're
necessarily move
watching
up,
on YouTube, you can
to
see
get him.
Olu
So
is
yeah.
doing double duty as he tries to put his son to
Special
sleep. His son
guest.
is like, "Yo, Dad, you're too loud, bro. I'm trying to sleep over here." I think, yeah, I mean, Minnesota would be an excellent fit for JJ McCarthy because they really don't need a great quarterback. I mean, look what they were doing with Kirk Cousins just last year before his injury. No one would say Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. We would say he's a good quarterback. And for all fantasy
Right.
purposes, he was the top 5 quarterback before he was injured. He was doing exceptional with 0 rushing upside. JJ McCarthy, I saw this statistic. He was only playing from behind at halftime in 2 games of his collegiate career. He was playing from ahead, and his team was a run-first team. So when I say he wasn't asked to do something, he didn't really have to lead any comebacks. Now, he won games. He didn't mess up, but doesn't that give him the title of game manager? I think he's like Alex Smith.
Speaking of game manager, Alex Smith,
No.
or I've seen him compared to Marcus Mariota. Like so,
What? That doesn't make any sense. He can't run like that.
that's
Mariota
those are the
was a
comparisons
totally
that
different
I've
type of
that I've
offense.
seen.
That was a different
Mariota.
offense that he would run.
If
Oregon was that no huddle, fast pace, score 70 points.
Yeah.
so if we're talking about the hype, yes, the hype is real. If you're talking about a long-term quarterback, if you want Alex Smith on your team with the first pick, then go ahead and draft him. But as far as the best landing spot for JJ McCarthy, Minnesota possibly, but I would say you sit still and possibly add 19 to the Rams where he can sit behind Matthew Stafford
Oh,
and
that's a
get
good
the
one.
experience.
Yeah.
Or here's an interesting one, or number 20 with Pittsburgh, where Russ is there for a year and him and Fields compete moving forward. Because I'm not even sure if they're even sold on Fields
I
as
can
well.
see Denver.
But if he goes to Denver, he's gonna have to play because they have Zach Wilson and he's not ready to play yet. That's the problem, is that he's gonna have to play quickly in Denver. And if you go to Oakland, like they need a quarterback right away that can play. And I'm not sure McCarthy is ready
Sean
to play.
Payton loving a guy like JJ McCarthy.
Oakland.
Sean Payton wants a robot. That's what he wants. And I can see Denver. But anyways, let's move on, guys. Really quick. We're not going to even talk about this much. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. We're not going to talk about the talent. Obviously, there is one tier of Caleb Williams. The next tier is Drake May, Jaden Daniels. The next tier is JJ McCarthy. And then you have Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. Let's just run through really quickly. Do you think either of these guys is worthy of a first-round pick? Chances are one of them will go first round, maybe both. I don't know. Quarterback, people reach for him. Do you think one or either of them is a first round talent. And then secondly,
Yes.
if you would like to make a bold prediction where they will go, again, we've got to keep it moving, guys, because we still have to talk about running backs and receivers. So let's not talk about all the opinions and projections. Just simply put, do you think either of them is a first round pick? And then where do you see them going? Why don't we go Shed first? Okay, no. Will is banging on the table. Will is banging on the table. Go for it, Will.
Yeah, go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
I'll make this so quick. So Michael Penix, I would say best fit would be for him to go somewhere that has a starting quarterback where he can be a backup for a year, get acclimated to the NFL, and then take over. I actually think that the Giants are a candidate to trade back into the first round to get Penix in the back half of the first round, have him back up Daniel Jones for a year, then cut Jones and keep rolling with Penix. Bo Nix, I laugh as I say this. The worst possible situation would be if the Broncos draft Bo Nix, because he is just like every other quarterback the Broncos have tried to draft since Peyton Manning left, right? You had Brock Osweiler, you had Paxton Lynch. Bo Nix would be just another one of these guys that's not going to pan out. I think he's going to be a career backup in the NFL. I do not think someone should draft Nix expecting him to come in and start. It's not going to work.
Oh, wow. I just thought about something.
Keep it short, bro.
You guys realize, I think, no, but listen, I think about this. I think whoever Minnesota gets could potentially have a better career than Caleb Williams. I actually just thought about that. If absolutely, because Minnesota has one of the best offensive minds in the league, right? Young offensive minds in Kevin O'Connell. So that's already there, and they have the weapon. If Bo Nix or Penix go to Minnesota, I feel like they're almost the same person with the same stats, with the same career path, but they're so different in that Penix loves throwing the deep ball and he's super, super accurate. While Bonix is also accurate, but he's more of a, dink and dunk, but it gets the job done. So I'm actually very interested to see how well those two will do in the NFL. And I love both of their talent, and it doesn't matter if they get picked in the first round or the second round. I think they have a really shot to make the part of a career out in the NFL. And I definitely think if he's Minnesota,
I don't think
the
Kevin
sky's the limit
O'Connell
for
will be
either one of
an
them.
offensive coordinator for much longer before he's offered a head coaching job.
No, but
I don't think Kevin O'Connell.
I meant play caller. You said what?
No,
Oh, that's right.
Kevin O'Connell is the head
coach.
coach.
My bad.
Yeah, but he calls.
Yes, you're right. My bad. Shed, what do you think,
the head
man?
coach. He calls plays.
Yeah, so my take on this was my take on Michael Penix. So I watched him in a college football championship game, right? And he just didn't play well at all. 255 yards passing, one touchdown, 2 interception. They lost 34-13 to Michigan. Like, I feel like if you're going to be that guy, when it comes to the college football playoffs, I don't care about your conference championship game. I don't care about how you did during the regular season. When you're in a playoff as a top 4 team, you have to play well. Look at Deshaun Watson. Look at C.J. Stroud. Right, some of these guys really stepped up, and then they really played well. So I didn't see that. I see Penix projecting to be late first. I think that was an interesting take, Will, where the Giants jump back in. I can see that happening, and Bo Nix as well. I see Bo Nix maybe.
Yeah, I'll just keep mine short as well. I don't think either of them are worth a first round pick, but I think one of them could be, and I just don't understand what people are seeing with Bo Nix. I just don't get it. I think his average depth of target was probably like the lowest we've ever seen. I think I heard this statistic that a third of his passes were at or behind the line of scrimmage. What the heck is that?
That's true.
But I mean, that's like
no, it's not going to work.
I mean, obviously that wasn't his whole game. He's definitely he's really good.
Yeah, that's what he was asked to do. And Michael Penix,
yes.
like, people want to compare him to Tua. I can see that because he likes to throw deep. He's left-handed, but I'm not. I mean, doesn't he have 2 torn ACLs?
He's better than Tua.
No shoulder.
Yeah.
I think he had 2 ACLs as well. He had he had 4 season-ending injuries 4 years in a row.
I think one of them probably will go first round because there is
Yeah.
so many quarterback needy teams. Best fit, honestly, I could see a guy. I could see Bo
I
Nix
like
going
them.
to a team to back. I could see Bo Nix going to the LA Rams, back up Matthew Stafford, take over for that, and then you're throwing the ball to Cooper Cup and
Mm.
and
Yeah.
what's his face, Puka Nakua,
Right.
Olu's favorite tight end in the league, and then I can see put a guy like Penix
That's
in
an
Vegas.
amazing
Put
landing
him put him in
spot for
Vegas. Let him
him.
compete. Let him compete in Vegas. But
Oh,
let's talk running backs.
Quickly, quickly.
you know, Penix
Yeah,
and
it will be
Penix
good.
and Devontae
I can see him
Adams
there.
could be
Let's talk
lethal.
about running backs, guys. I think it would be consensus that Jonathan Brooks, and I think most people believe this, Jonathan Brooks would be the number one overall running back if he didn't have a torn
He is.
ACL. Now, obviously, as we know, torn ACLs aren't what
Right.
they were 20 years ago. We've seen plenty of guys come back from a torn ACL and, you know, play the way they did before. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time. Jonathan Brooks is young. But then we also have Trey Benson coming out of FSU. Who will go first? Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson. Will either of them be a first round pick? Probably not. But what do you guys think? Best fits? Who will go first? Let's just keep the discussion at that, guys. Will, why don't you go first, man?
Yes, quickly. So I think the Cowboys are primed to take Trey Benson because he's a guy who can come in and contribute right away. They cannot afford to wait for someone to get healthy like a Jonathan Brooks. And Benson is a physical runner. He's a finisher, which is what they lacked last year with Pollard. They need a guy. They have a great scheme that can open up running lanes. He has good downline speed. He ran a sub 4.440 at the combine. So I think Benson's going to go to the Cowboys. Jonathan Brooks, I predict that he's going to go to the
Ooh,
Buccaneers. Rashad White, great passing back, great receiving back, not a good runner of the football. And Brooks is a guy who's shifty. He finds the open lane. He can burst through it, assuming he has a good, recovery, full recovery from the ACL. I could see them bringing him in as the main
I
rusher
like
and use
that.
Rashad White
I
as a
like
third
that.
down
Olu,
back.
what do you think, man?
yeah. I love. I think I'm gonna go with Jonathan Brooks to Dallas Cowboy. So here's my reason why. I think Jonathan Brooks is literally the mixture of Zeke and Tony Pollard. Like he
Ooh,
can do
high
it.
praise.
Yeah, of what both they do. When I watch him play, he's never ever be taken down by the first guy. The first guy who tackles him never gets him. It's usually the third, fourth guy that tackles him. And also he's in Texas. He's in the University of Texas. So the Cowboys have seen him play a lot. They've scouted him a lot. And yes, he has the ACL, but ACL is not what it used to be. So I can see him easily for the Jones family taking him as their lead back in what's it called as the lead back in Dallas, and then Trey Benson. I can see Trey Benson going to a team where he shares the load, he shares the carries. I don't see him being a lead back on a particular team. Yeah, so I definitely see Trey Benson. I can see Trey Benson going
I
to
think
Chargers
it's
actually.
interesting. Trey Benson, I could see that.
Mm,
I always thought they were more of a Blake Corum guy, given the John Harbaugh connection. But they need a running back, that's for
right, the
sure. They
connection.
need a
Yep.
running back who could come in. Shed, do you have any thoughts on it? Or are you good? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
No, all I know, I was looking to see where the Cowboys draft the second round because everyone's talking about Jonathan Brooks. I'm not sure if he'll be there, and I'm not sure if Trey Benson will possibly be there. And first round they're not drafting a running back. Second round they're gonna get a back, but I'm not sure who's that gonna be. But whosoever they take is I think gonna
what I want to
be
say is I'm
highly
just glad
recruited
that we
in
are
fantasy.
finally, well, not finally, but the running
Mm,
backs 2 years ago, running backs weren't getting paid in the offseason. This past year, we saw a number of running backs get paid. I still don't think they're getting paid what they deserved. In what world is Jerry Jeudy making as much money as like Saquon Barkley? That doesn't make sense to me. However, I think even at an undervalued position, I don't think either of these guys is worthy of a first round pick. If Brees Hall wasn't a first round pick, I don't see Brooks or Benson or any
right.
running back for that matter being worthy of a first round pick. I think Dallas will take one of these guys in the second round. I think they'll have to trade up. I agree with Will. Trey Benson would be great for them. I could definitely see Jonathan Brooks being drafted by a team that already has a running back, but could use some youth at the position. Imagine if Brooks is drafted by Baltimore. Golly. You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine
Oh,
that.
that would be
He
beautiful.
doesn't need to come in and compete right away. But anyways, let's keep it moving, guys. Best of the rest. Who is your top running back after Brooks, after Benson? If you were to advocate for somebody, and maybe he's not your best, but if you were to advocate for somebody, and let's keep it brief, guys, because we haven't even gotten into wide receivers. Okay, Olu, go first, man.
Yeah, since the cat is at the bag, I'll go. I'll say it. I think the biggest sleeper in this class is Audrey Estimate. The first time I accidentally watched him play. I was watching another than game and I saw him running the back, and I was like, "Whoa, who's this kid?" he made me he made me keep sitting and watching the game, and oh my gosh, he was phenomenal. And I was like, wow, this kid is good. So I've been watching him throughout the season and draft process, and a lot of people don't put him in his top five, and I'm like, what are they watching that I don't see? So yeah, I think he's definitely a huge sleeper, and I actually thought he was like 6'2". He's only 5'11". This dude look humongous. He looks huge, but he's only 5'11". So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him in the league, and I think he's gonna be a very,
Will,
very
what you got, man?
good runner in this league for sure.
I like Estime as well. He is my pick for the next back after those top two. I think after that, there's a big drop off. Braylon Allen had success at Wisconsin, but he doesn't have burst. Bucky Irving from Oregon, he's very small and doesn't have elite speed.
Yes,
But another guy I want to highlight quickly is Jalen Wright out of the
he can ball,
University
man.
of Tennessee. He has elite speed. He's got a profile similar to Gibbs in the sense that every time he touched the ball, there was a home run waiting to happen. So I think in the right situation with the team that has a zone blocking scheme to
Yeah,
open up rushing lanes for
I
him,
like
he
Marshawn
could be
Lloyd out of
great.
USC, but the guy who I like the most, honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Brooks. Benson's fine. I do like Braylon Allen. He lacks some of that burst, but Braylon Allen came. Braylon Allen is going to be 20 years old on draft night. He is going to start his NFL career at 20 years old. What that means is he started college as a 17-year-old. And at Wisconsin, he rushed
That's
for
wild.
almost 1,300 yards as a stinking 17-year-old, guys. Do you understand this? He's a 17-year-old and rushed for 1,300 yards as a college freshman
That's
at Wisconsin.
crazy.
That's nuts to me. He's built. The dude is built, and he's always been like that. So he may lack some burst, and he doesn't offer much in the passing game, but the guy hasn't even – his trajectory is up. It's up. That's what I see in Braylon Allen. I like Braylon Allen.
That's fair. That's fair.
He turns 21 in January. The guy is 6'2", 235 pounds, and average
He's
5.9 yards per carry.
Golly.
I mean, yes.
That's Derrick Henry size
Yes.
right there.
Golly.
That's
I
crazy.
like Braylon Allen, guys. I do.
Wow.
I think he's only going to get better. That I think his best football is well ahead of him. Anyways, let's keep it moving, guys. So now we're going to get into wide receivers. They say this is the deepest wide receiver class. 2014 was big. 2014, we saw Odell, we saw Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks. We saw some guys.
Yeah, yeah,
We got three guys at the top of this draft who should all be top 10 picks. Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, Malik Neighbors from LSU, and Rome Odunze from Washington. I mean, these guys, they are not like your Drake May. The hype is Like you cannot argue the talent. These guys are so good that many of experts cannot decide and cannot agree on who is 1, 2, and 3.
Mm.
I mean, maybe 1 and 2. They
Hey,
definitely know who 1, 3 is.
Most people have Odunze at 3. I have seen
I
Yeah,
mean,
arguments for him to be
Odunze
higher,
led
but
the
the
NCAA in
majority do.
yards,
as
number
1,
one in
2.
contested catches. I don't think you could go wrong with either of them.
Yeah. No,
But
that's
what are you
true.
guys' thoughts if you were to rank them? Let's just keep it simple because we could go into each of these guys. But if you were to rank them 1, 2, and 3, how would you rank them? Go for it, Will.
All right, I'll go real quick. Number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr., because of the speed, the route running, the size, the hands. He's got the full package of your prototypical number 1 receiver, X receiver. Then Neighbors, because I see him as Antonio Brown 2.0 with the run after the catch ability to just get the ball in space and tear things up. And then Odunze at 3, where most other years, Rome Odunze would be the number 1 receiver without question. But you've got 2 guys who are perhaps generational talents going ahead of him. So that's my ranking.
Okay, so mine, I really, really like Neighbors. I will put him on number 1. But if I have to be objective, I have to go MHJ. He's number 1. And then
Oh,
Neighbors 2. And then I'll do the number 3. I love Neighbors. If I'm choose if I have one if I have the 1-on-1 pick, which I do, I would definitely pick Neighbors as 1-on-1. But when I watch Marvin Harrison Jr. play, he just plays
He's
like
built
I'm
different.
better than everybody on the field.
Shed, did you want to go first or you want me to go
Yeah.
first? I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Go ahead.
I think Neighbors is number 1. The only reason I'm saying that is because if Marvin Harrison Jr.
okay.
was named anything other than Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't get me wrong, the talent speaks for itself. But if his name was like Rick Williams, I don't know, Rick Jackson.
Rick, yes.
No, he would have the same hype if his name was Rick Jackson.
No, I mean, Malik Neighbors, what he's able to do with the ball in his hands is incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, look, Harrison's incredible. I'd go Neighbors. I think he's younger. He's the youngest receiver in this class. Neighbors 1, Harrison 2, Odunze 3 is how I would go. And I hope to God that the New York Football Giants draft Malik Neighbors. Gosh, I hope they get him. Shed, what do you think, man?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go quickly here. Definitely, I'm gonna go in the general order. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. Like, I've started to love Malik Neighbors more because of his run after catch. I mean, that is huge in the NFL, right? He's averaging 1 yard per catch more after the catch than Marvin Harrison Jr. And that kind of feeds his way as you go, kind of like a Debo. You know how Debo fights for the extra yards. That's the huge. But Marvin Harrison Jr. His downside is like really high. I mean, he has a very high ceiling. So I would go with the safe bet. Malik Neighbors is also great as well. On Dunze, he just has the size at 6'3", 215 athletic traits, right? And regardless of where he goes, he's a wide
I said we
receiver
weren't going to
one
talk
as
much
well.
about it, but I think of all these guys, Rome Odunze, from what I've seen, his interviews are incredible. Like this guy, he is going to show up to work. His mindset is incredible. Malik Neighbors, I don't know if you can say the same about him. I think he got arrested for carrying a gun at one point, and it's like Odunze just seems like he's in a different. His mentality is just different, and I like that about him. You know what you're gonna get. It's not a guess. But yeah, Marvin Harrison. I mean, the guy's not a slouch. I put Neighbors over him, but that's not to say that that's not any shade on Marvin Harrison. But
Yeah. I think you should slow down how you sell a Doomsday. You might mess around and make me
he
think
led the league. He led NCAA in yards.
He's not a secret. It's no secret. Yeah. If I was going to quickly say this, I know we're not doing the whole thing on landing spots, but I think Arizona would be fools to not take Marvin Harrison Jr. I would love to see Neighbors go to the Chargers. Oh my gosh, just to have a top let's say top 10 safely, right? Herbert, top 10 quarterback, starting your rookie year would be amazing. That'd be like Jamar Chase going to Burrow his rookie year. And then I saw this mock draft today. I think it was Pro Football Talk had their final mock draft, and they showed Odunze slipping. They showed all these teams taking offensive linemen, even the Bears taking an offensive lineman instead of Odunze, and then
What?
Buffalo trading up, doing like a Godfather offer and trading up to get Rome Odunze at like 11 or 12, which would be amazing. Oh my gosh, that'd be incredible to see him with a quarterback like Josh Allen. Very unlikely, but if he slips, if there's a run on offensive tackles, and then, first couple of defensive players come off the board, a contender could jump up to snag him, which would be amazing to see.
So what's going to be interesting is that you're going to have all these fantasy players going early on in this draft, right? That your
Right.
good defensive players are going to be dropping to like 10 or 12. And you can get like a good defensive player at that spot because all the,
Well, let's just
the
be honest,
offensive
guys.
and the fantasy
There
players go
could
first.
be within the
True.
first 10. We've never fantasy football players and dynasty football players are loving this draft because within the top 10 picks,
Oh,
we
yeah.
might see 4 quarterbacks, 3 receivers, and a tight end. We could see 8 fantasy football
Easily.
players
Yes.
in the top 10. The other 2 players will be Joe Alt and the pass rusher Turner. So
Dallas
Yeah.
Turner.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you guys a question? What are the odds the Chiefs or
Won't
the
happen.
Bills
No way.
move
It won't
all the
happen.
way to the top to get on the Medusa?
They'd have to
Chiefs
they would have to give
It
up way
can't.
too much for
It
top
won't.
10.
I don't think it's
What are
astronomical.
the odds?
But let's talk really quick.
Mine.
Dynasty football players
All right.
who are drafting between the 106 and the 108 more than likely are going to be faced with the same decision. After the top 3 quarterbacks and after the top 3 receivers go, they're going to be staring at either a J.J. McCarthy, who would be a reach, or the bigger question is, do I go Brian Thomas Jr., the receiver out of LSU, or Brock Bowers, the quote-unquote generational talent of a tight end out of the illustrious University of Georgia? Who ought to be drafted first? Thomas or Bowers as a tight end? Go for it, Olu. Yeah, let's talk fantasy.
Again, we're talking fantasy,
let's talk
right?
fantasy, and then we'll talk best landing spot for each of them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So again, it'll be all landing spot dependent. But I would say Brian Thomas. The reason is because as a receiver, as a top receiver, if you're talking about the PPR, receivers tend to score like an average. A top 10 receiver scores in the 300s, right? The next level is probably in 200s. And then if we go to tight ends, the top tight ends, taking Kelsey out, and maybe Mac Andrews, you might have something like T. Hawkins scoring like 250, 280, kind of range. And those are the like top. So there's a likelihood Brian Thomas will always give you more fantasy points than Brock Powers will do. So now let's talk about Bowers as a generational talent, right? Okay. So all in the history for there to be a top generational tight end, they've always had a generational quarterback. Gronk, Brady, Kelsey, Mahomes, Shannon Sharp, Elway.
Gates and Jimmy. Well, Gates.
What's his name?
There's Gates and
The
Tony
dude from,
Gonzalez.
Gates had what's it called? Rivers is no slouch. Let's not get it twisted. Gonzalez might be the only one,
Right,
but
he's the only one.
Ryan wasn't a slouch either. So I'm saying for you, and again, for you to, for you to really reach that level of Kelsey level, did you fall to Mahomes? Did you fall to Brady? Is something we should consider.
Yeah. Let me say something real quick here. So Bowers is the best tight end prospect definitely since Kyle Pitts, right? Kyle Pitts had so much hype as a tight end, but I think he's got more hype than anyone we've seen in the last 10, 15 years as a tight end. in the right situation, he's a guy that you could draft on a dynasty team and hold him for a decade, and he'll produce and be top 5 at the position for a decade. The thing about Brian Thomas, and I know that people look at, limited route tree and only 1 year with real success, but let me tell you all this. He led the NCAA in receiving touchdowns last year. You want to know the last 4 players to lead the NCAA in receiving touchdowns since 2019? Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jordan Addison, and Tank Dell.
Yep. I was waiting.
That's a pretty good barometer. Okay, if we just take that as a barometer for NFL success, and Brian Thomas just led the NCAA in receiving touchdowns, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be fine. He's not going to be maybe better than those top 3 guys. He'll have a great NFL career. I have no doubt.
That's interesting, Will. Like I was leaning towards Brock Bowers because everything that points to him being the safest prospect out there, right? If you want a guy you can draft that's gonna produce for you, the safest guy Brock Bowers is. And Olu makes a good point. I'll also add the difference between Bowers and say like a Kyle Pitts
Golly, it's
is
so
that
crazy.
Bowers can do sweeps and in around as a tight end. He can provide the running aspect, whereas those other tight ends do not. So yes, he may not have an elite. Well, let's say for year 1, year 2, he has Rodgers, and he may not have an elite quarterback after that. But during those first 2 years, I think you can see a huge upside.
Yeah, it's so hard to like. Tight ends are undervalued, man. They really are, and I think a lot of it's because they take a little bit longer to develop.
They are.
Now we just got spoiled with Sam Laporta, but he wasn't even the number 1 tight end drafted, right?
Yeah.
And so
no, Kincaid was
Meyer was
Kincaid
a better,
and Meyer
was a better
were
prospect,
both
and Kincaid
before
was a
him.
better prospect, but Laporta had a historical rookie season. And yeah, I think the production profile, I don't think we've seen someone like Bowers have this production profile. Sure, Pitts tested better at the combine. Vernon Davis tested better at the combine. But as far as what they've done on the field, Brock Bowers is the guy. I like Brock Bowers better than Brian Thomas Jr. simply because I think there's many guys like Brian Thomas Jr. to come out every single year. But here's the thing I do like about I'm not big on Brian Thomas Jr. because I don't think he hand catches the ball. I think he has a lot of room for growth. You want to know something crazy about Brian Thomas Jr.? He hasn't even been playing football long. Like many of these other guys who came up playing football, I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. started playing football until like his junior year of high school or something like that. He was a basketball player for the longest time. And that wasn't working out.
Yeah.
Right. So that wasn't working out. So in my head, I want to discredit Brian Thomas Jr. because he catches the ball with his body like a basket. But in a lot of ways, he's still learning how to play the game. So maybe the ceiling is much higher than we even think with Brian Thomas Jr. To get 17 touchdowns? What? I don't think he was playing in Malik Neighbors' shadow. I think the fact that he was able to produce with Malik Neighbors on the other side shows something. I think these are both ballers. They're both ballers. I can say, imagine Brock Bowers goes to the Jets and plays with Aaron Rodgers. That's nasty. Imagine if Brock Bowers goes to Cincinnati and plays with Joe Burrow. Brian Thomas, I don't have any predictions as to where he could go, to be honest. But I think he'll be fine. I don't know if he'll be a wide receiver 1. But he'll be fine.
So the reality, guys, as we make all these predictions, they're all not going to hit. So somebody's going to, and on top of that, you're going to have guys in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th round that are going to be legitimate, right? So like we have to, right? So like yeah. So let's just keep it at that. Like that's why I chose Brock Bowers because he's safe. He'll get you, and also to your point too. I think Will or Matt, you were saying that Laporta was the 3rd tight end taken. No one saw that coming, right? No one saw that at all. But Olo did make a good point about tight ends to how like even Laporta, he was still only averaging like 15, 16, 17 points a game, right? On like fantasy wise, whereas even even like the better wide receivers average more. But then again, ask yourself, is Brian Thomas going to
Shed,
hit?
that was the first negative thing I think
that's
you've
the
ever
only
said in your
question.
whole life. Last discussion point, and for time's sake, guys, we should probably cut our rookie mock draft. Best of the rest. Who's your
but
guy?
let's talk about a couple of these receivers.
Who's your guy?
Each of us pick our favorite. Pick our one favorite.
Obviously the top guys are Adonai, Troy Franklin, Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy. Some would have Xavier Legette up there. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. There could be a guy I'm missing. But who's your best of the rest? Who's your guy? Why don't we just walk through it and try to walk through it quickly? Go for it, Will.
I like Troy. Yeah, I like Troy Franklin. I think he's a taller Devontae Smith, elite route runners, got agility, great hands. He weighed really low at the combine, but he was sick. I saw this thing. He was sick. It was some sort of flu, food poisoning. He lost 10 pounds. So that's why he came in at he's 6'3", and he only weighed 175 or something. That's not his actual weight. So people can forget about that. He's more like 185. He may be pushing 190 now with off-season workouts. I love Troy Franklin. I think whoever gets him, it's going to be a steal, and he'll be a solid receiver for them for years to come.
Yeah, so I'll go. Xavier Worthy is my guy here. He had All-American honors going into his sophomore year, 62 catches, 981 yards, 12 touchdowns. He is a speedster running at 4.21. I believe he broke the fastest time in the 40.
He did.
Just pure skill set. Plus, he brings the punt return capability, which I think can help elevate and boost his stock as well. So I'll go with Xavier Worthy.
Olu, I think you're on mute.
I'll go with Lad McConkey. I think Lad McConkey is that guy that has all the strength and superpowers that he hasn't realized what it is yet. And I think once he realizes, it's really going to match his talent. He's an amazing route runner, incredible top route runner, super fast, as we saw. I didn't expect him to be that fast, but he was. And I feel like if he goes to the right situation where his confidence can be boosted up, I think that's the one thing he probably lacks, confidence. Once he gets that
I don't
confidence,
want to poo-poo on anyone else's
I like Larry
guy, but I got a problem with some of these guys. Like, I wanted to like Troy Franklin. Then I look at his tape and I'm like, all of his, like, it's him beating guys. Like, and don't get me wrong, that's good, but now he's going to be playing against NFL competition. Where are you going to be able to do that in the NFL? Xavier Worthy, I'm just scared he's going to be the next Jameson Williams, which is a good pro, but not good for fantasy football because he's so fast. He's going to be a field stretcher. He's going to open up the underneath. I think he'll make a great pro. I don't know how good he's for fantasy. And my guy, I'm even going to poo-poo on my own guy. I like Lad McConkey. But the reason why I'm going to poo-poo on him is because he doesn't have much game tape. If you were to watch tape on Lad McConkey, it would be relatively quick because the guy was injured so often. I think he has the confidence, Olu. The guy's a two-time national champ. So I like McConkey. I like him much better than Xavier Legette. Put me on record for that one. Xavier Legette over here didn't break out till his fifth year in college, where he's dominating against 18-year-olds as a 23-year-old. So I like McConkey, and if he goes somewhere like Kansas City, buy him. Buy him when he goes to Kansas City. That's all I got to say about that. Any other final words, guys? The last words before the NFL draft. We're going to go ahead and skip our pre-draft rookie mock. We'll skip it, guys. Any other final words before we sign off here?
There's a sleeper, the Texans.
Oh, Jatavius Sanders?
I probably shouldn't say it. Anyway.
Yeah. He'll be good. He'll be good. I don't think he's going to be much of a fantasy asset.
Yeah, well, let's keep an eye out on him because he's one of those low-key guys. Like, he's like Kittle. Kittle was a 5th-round pick.
Any other final words, guys? Thursday will be good.
Can't wait for Thursday.
48 hours.
Can't wait.
48 hours.
All right, before we go, where would you guys be watching from?
From home.
I'll be out with Danny and Pedro. Shout out to my boys, Danny and Pedro. We're gonna go out to watch it at Encore. But anyways, that is our episode. Thanks for listening on in. We hope that this helps you as you prepare yourself for your dynasty player, for your upcoming rookie draft. hold us to these takes with your hosts, Shed, Olu, Will, and Matt signing off. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you after the draft.